Okay, today we are back with the 2600. I say today, for you it's probably just been an instant, for me it's been a couple of weeks. And what we've got is, I've ordered this composite mod, which comes with a few wires. It's going to make it easier at the very least to test. Right now I really do struggle. I've only got one TV that will at least attempt to tune the old analog TV standard. So what we're going to do is I'm following the instructions that have come with this little kit. It looks pretty simple. I think it's just a few wires to attach, a little bit to desolder. But to start with, I'm going to get this apart. I'll fast forward through this for you all. Might even jump cut. We'll see, but let's get it done. Okay, I've got this apart now. First thing we need to do is remove this transistor here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get the desoldering iron. Let's try and see if we can get some more light on here. Not do much. So I'm going to get the desoldering iron and we'll work this out, which is, it's these three here, it looks like, this one, and this one. What I'm going to do, get the desoldering iron warmed up. Okay, let's jump in here and get this done. Perfect. That should now mean we can pull this transistor out. Ooh. There we go. And the instructions actually say to snip the lead, but I'd rather keep the transistor. I might test that because that could have even been the part that's failed, which will be interesting. Okay, next thing we've got on the instructions, it says, now take the switchboard, which is this. I'll just zoom out for you again. Okay, so now take the switchboard. You need to cut the 5 pins going to the RF modulator circuit board. Silver box, that's this. You need to cut the 5 pins going to it. I usually break off the small circuit board attached to the RF modulator and throw it out, but if you want to, you can bend the pins away. Okay, so it's going to be taking this board off here. That should be okay. Throw it out if you want, bend the pins up. Remove the 5 pins using a desoldering tool. When it says the 5 pins, where is it looking? Oh, interesting, there's a slightly different. So they've got 5 pins in a row down here. It's these 5. Okay, well I think what I might do is I might look to desolder the whole lot. We'll just zoom in on this. I think we'll just fire up the desoldering iron again. Hopefully that warms back up. Heat on. And we'll just go through. Again, I might just flow a bit of fresh solder on them, just makes it a little easier to desolder. Especially on these smaller ones. Just waiting for the iron to heat up. There we go. So we can clear that up, and then any of these mounting points like this one. Okay. Possibly not even needed. Right. Those 5 pads. What else have we got holding this down? So there's these two. Looks like this one. Anything else? Got the two on that side. Got the ones on this side. I think it might be this one. Everything, there we go. So we've got the RF modulator off. Again, the instructions say to cut, but I think since I've got the desoldering iron, it's easier to just desolder that properly. Have we got anything else we need to worry about here? Don't think so. Right, on to the instructions. Now it's time to assemble the circuit board. Okay, and we'll take our new circuit board. Just follow the picture below and solder in the transistor. Okay, so I've got this pre-assembled. Looks like a slightly different circuit board. Okay, you should have 4 pieces of conductive wire. First strip off the wiring sheath, and blah blah blah. Next, throw out one of the yellow wires. You should have 4 pieces. 2 pieces of. You should have 2 pieces of 4 conductive wires. What did this actually come with? This came with some. Yeah. It came with 3 pieces of wire: black, orange, and green. So I should be able to get. Alright, I see. So off the switchboard, we should be able to get a 5 volt, a ground, and let me get some better wire. So next up, what we need to do is take the audio off this board, and that's the only thing we need from here. So the desoldering we've done so far will stop the audio and the video being mixed together into one signal, so we should have hopefully a clean composite signal. It just needs a little bit of, I think it's amplification from a transistor. But we can pick that up off the switchboard, so the only thing we need to come out of here, which I think we can just pop onto this pad, I might just tie this up, is the audio signal. So what we can do is I'll just flow a bit more solder onto that. There's this one. Gosh, I really need to get a solder extractor, dust air cleaner type thing. There we go. Might just pop that a bit deeper. Not liking that. Might just cut that a bit shorter. And then we'll just come in and try and get this attached again. There we go, that looks nice. Not bad at all. Right, that will come out at the top of this board. And will mean we can take the audio, hopefully. So I should start thinking about putting this back together. Zoom out. So you have to kind of slide this in a bit of a funky angle and get this lined up. And the other thing is, I always like to pop a game in just to hold it in place, because it's quite easy to misalign it, and then you get everything back together, and you can't get a game in because you're slightly misaligned. Because this is metal, there's not really any give on it. But I think that'll be okay, so we can get that screwed together now. With these two screws. So I started this a few weeks ago, and I realised a couple of days after I'd started, I was coming down with a cold and I just was not thinking straight. But I think we're in a good place now. Should be okay with that. Now I have to remember, don't put screws in the middle ones. They actually come in from the outside of the case, and that holds this whole assembly to the bottom piece of the case. I have done that before. You put those in wrong, and it can be a bit of a problem to get it back together. In some ways I think it's slightly weird, because why do you need two screws in the bottom corners and no screw in the middle? I don't know, I'm sure they had their reasons when they were designing it. I mean, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the way they've used self-tappers for everything, even into the plastic. I just think it's... and you don't get the nicest threads. But you know, it's a cool console. Big fan of the 2600. I think it's like an absolute classic of gaming and a real sort of piece of history. Alright, back to the switchboard, and we're going to find out where we connect what to. So I think they do go through here. So it looks like this one, first one is definitely a ground wire, so I'm going to put the black into that. I'll just strip a bit off. Twist that together. Black is going to be ground. Into our one hole, we'll get the soldering iron warmed up again. In some ways I should just keep this warm, but it means when I inevitably lean on it, I get hurt a bit less. There we go. Nice. Right, next question is where do we get the video signal and where do we get the ground from? The power. So coming to here, there was only actually two of those connected, weren't there? Which ones were it? Okay, so it would have been these two. I'm guessing one of these is power and one of those is the signal. Question is, which one is which? They're not joined together. This one comes to a big capacitor. And then over here, so that's probably not power. Ooh, is that capacitor? I don't know what that component is. L101, no, it's an inductor. And then from the inductor, it comes down to this end pad. Okay, and then the other one goes down, goes to one side of a capacitor, which is bridged to ground. I think this might be power. Goes to this capacitor, which again comes to ground. Yeah, so I think that's going to be power. Okay, that's fine. So this is the signal, and then this one that just is continuous all the way down is probably power. So power is that one. We'll use orange for power for no particular reason. Or maybe I've got a red. Maybe I'll take the video signal. There you go. I've got some red wire. 22 gauge, that should be plenty. Which did we say? I think this one's power. So, why not? Come in, have a look. see what's going on. And then I'll use the orange for the video signal, which I'm pretty sure is the one next to it. I hope if we've got these the wrong way around, we'll see what happens. It should be fine. Okay. Good stuff, and then we can just take our cutters to tidy these up. They all look pretty good. Okay. Now then, the question is, what do we do with this little board? That's the next one. Right, I'm going to pause here and just have a little read of the instructions. Okay, so what I'm thinking, I've just had a look at this board. I'm pretty sure I can tell which one's ground. The audio I'm just going to skip and go straight to the jack, because that just gets passed straight through here, so there's no good reason to do some additional soldering. The 5-volt rail is the one I'm just trying to work out which is which. Looking at it, I think 3 is VCC. Just looking at the layout of the components, because that's going to go down to actually, let me just get the schematic for this transistor and I'll soon be able to find out. Okay. Right. So I actually think 3 is the video signal. Which is fine, we can work with that. So 3 is video. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get it so I can just like maybe glue this down. I'll put a bit of double-sided tape on it onto the board here. Take it off. The first thing I'm going to do is chop my ground wire. Chop my VCC. Again, these don't need to be very long because I'm just aiming to have it next to it to start with. And chop the video signal, which is this one. There we go. Alright, so by my reckoning, we have 1 is ground, 4 is VCC, So, 4 is VCC and 3. Okay. Like I say, 2 is just an audio pass through on this board, so I'm just going to skip that and just do my own pass through. There we go, we're getting more. God, so confused. There we go. I'll just chop off the excess here, and here. Nice, and then output. So it looks like the middle 2 are ground, and number 4 is our video output. So use this orange one for video again, and then we'll pop a ground wire on there in either of the middle 2. There we go. Now in theory, that should be all the soldering done, except to the plugs actually. But we need to go drill some holes in the case for that. Yeah, so this will just hopefully nicely just sit down here, maybe with a bit of Kapton tape or something just to hold it down. And we can bring all those cables out to the right places on the case. Speaking of which, I need to go drill some holes in the case. So let's go do that. Okay, I've changed my mind a little bit. I think what I want to do is actually just put this back together and then just hang these on the outside for now. Main reason is I don't want to drill into the case quite yet. I want to make sure this is working. Currently it's a really nice untouched case, and if I can find a way to keep it like that, I'd actually quite like to. So for now we are just going to try and put this back together and see if this works. So remember, green is for the audio. Goes up and into there like that. These cables are going to come around and poke out of this hole as well. So this is the original RF cable hole that I'm just popping these through. I will either modify the case or maybe create like a little external box, maybe 3D print something. We'll have a see how it goes, but first of all I want to make sure this works before I start chopping and changing stuff. That's going to sit there quite nicely. Let's screw that down. That's in. That cable's on. Put the top cover on. That seems pretty good. Again, I'll just keep the game in just to make sure everything's lined up nicely inside. And we shall start by popping in these two. These, as we saw inside, these go straight into that, I think it's aluminium, the metal box. It actually holds all the components in place for the bottom piece. There we go. And then these screws hold the top case on. I think some of those top ones do actually go sort of pass through and sandwich the switchboard, as it's called, which just helps to give it a bit more stability. As I said, I'm not the biggest fan of how this goes. Even these screws that go on an angle don't seem to. They sort of grip in a really weird way that you can still see threads. I don't know. It just feels. In some ways it feels like a bit of a bodge, but maybe that's part of the charm. Maybe that is part of the charm. There we go. That's all of those together. Right, so what I'm going to do now, with these bits that we didn't need, is solder up some of these jacks. So what have we got? I don't know what you'd normally do. I guess black would be video. Okay, let's flow a little bit onto here. Wow, maybe I should have switched the soldering iron tip for a bigger one for doing these, but sometimes it's just faster to solder on with what you've got going. Yeah, it's gonna work, it's fine. It's gonna be fine. There we go. I think that's okay. I think we're something like that. Alright, I'm going to let that cool down. I'm going to go get a drink, and then I think we'll try these out, see if we get a signal. Okay, so I'm just taking this my phone because I've had to come downstairs to try this. So, as you can see, we have an output. Now, the only thing that's a bit weird is this, well, the colours don't look quite right to me. And the sprites are kind of flickering. But we've got as far as getting an output, which is a really good sign. So the actual process is working. I'm wondering if it's maybe needs recapping is probably the next thing to do. But I think I'm going to call this part 1 of the video. And I'm sure we'll revisit this incredibly soon. It's also weird, I'm not sure, you see how the colour at the bottom there just jumped? I've seen that in a couple of the games I've tried. I'm not sure if the colour's changing is normal or if it's something we need to address as well. We'll have a look. I might see if I can get a recapping set. But now I've seen we can get the output, I think I'm going to be comfortable drilling the holes in the case, so I'll do that as well. Alright, thanks for watching everyone. Bye now.